beautiful to be back in Delhi, and I worked actually in Bangalore for 12 months for the Leela Hotel Group, because before that I used to set up, so I'm very involved in the world industry.
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning.
I am energy, so I just need y'all to clap. I need to know y'all can do it right here. So my name is Camille. I'm known as a virologist. I'm from the United States of America by way of DC. I'm owner-operator of Puriforia Wellness Boutique, where I operate as a virologist, where I teach women to look good in their clothes, to look good out of their clothes, to think clearly and feel good. Because you know you cannot get your body tight until you get your mind right. So that's what I'm here today to figure out and to teach you how to do it all in harmony. We all can balance, but if we take our eye off the ball, something will fall. But when you get in harmony with your body, your business, and your bank, everything will equal itself out. Thank you.
While the presentation is being loading, I'd like to know, what do you know about body balance? What do you want to know about body balance? What is it that you already know about body balance? Any inputs from your end? Yeah?
I think it's balancing the chakras.
Balancing the chakras. All right. What else? Any other inputs? Yeah?
Maybe when life feels like it's controlling you instead of you controlling life. It's hard to have body balance, so finding balance between control and locus of control.
True. Great. There it is. So, great. Welcome to a workshop on getting your body back into balance and feeling comfortable in your own skin. That's really, really, really important. When we're looking at fitness, wellness, our surroundings, who controls us, how are we controlled, right? It's all about balance, and the balance, we realize, has got to come from within. While we move on, that's a little about myself. I've been an HR professional, but soon after marriage moved out of the country for a couple of years and had my babies one after the other. Now my kids are, my daughter's 12, my son is 9. And moved around places, realized, met people, realized the importance of an exposure, of cross-cultural thinking, and all of that, and came back to India, thought I would start getting back to a full-time job. But then there was a struggle that I dealt with my own body, which took me to go on and form the Health of Women Forum, which is about 3 years old now. I'll take you through that. I've been a yoga instructor for a couple of years now. I teach traditional Patanjali yoga, conduct corporate wellness fitness workshops, and I'm also the conceptualizer of an annual event called the Corporate Diva. I'm going to talk more about body balance with all of you. But before that, what brought me here, what brought me to share my journey, to share my story, is what I'm going to present in front of you. That was me, that was my body, a couple of years ago, soon after my second pregnancy. I was a whooping 94 kg. And that's not a great feeling, a great zone to be in, right? The number one reason why the discomfort was firstly because of the way the world perceives you when you're of a particular size. It's that's the time when you're just, as you said, external pressures, right? You look for external gratification to somewhere identify yourself, and you're in a loss of identity on your own, and you're not too happy with your body. I started off, after the second pregnancy, I started off working out at the gym. 9 to 10 months I worked out at the gym. It didn't work for me at all. And I was that time back in India, in Mumbai, in Juhu, where all the film stars were training every day. So imagine in that stressful environment where you've got all size zeros around and you're at 94 struggling to kind of lose a kilo. and the scale didn't move. So any which ways, what I said was, fine, now that my child is going to play school, I'm not going to work much on the physical fitness part of it. Let me take up yoga and let me at least kind of calm my mind down and see what happens. And when I started yoga in a span of 1 month itself, I lost about 2.5 kgs, wherein I realized that this is what is working for me. So it's important to realize what works for you. It is important to realize that what might work for a particular person may not be something meant for your own body type. So you've got to identify that, and that happens only through experiencing different modes of looking after yourself, of creating yourself to be a fitter person. When that started, but what yoga really led me to was this. It led me to being a fitter person. Why this visual here is probably gives out a message of a transition in terms of size. I would say it's been more of a transition in terms of self. From a person looking at the mirror, not feeling great about herself, to a person who evolved through the journey of, yes, a bit of weight loss, but more of self-identity. Right? To a person loving herself, and literally to date, I date myself every single day. And when you're in love with yourself, you want to make yourself happy, you want to do things to kind of nurture the soul that you're in love with. And that's when the diet discipline comes into play, that's where the fitness discipline comes into play. Everything falls into place. And that's what this journey has been a testimony to. That once you realized that there is a spark within, there is strength within, and there is love within, once you've started being harmonious with that strength, the results follow. There were times when I was desperate to lose weight, when I was desperate to be happy with myself. And I was looking for happiness outwardly. But that didn't make any difference. It kind of led to more of frustration. So yoga helped me achieve that mental balance first, which further led to a physical balance. Now, point one, what I would like to highlight here is love yourself. It is very, very, very essential, and I've been a testimony to that. That right from a time when looking at yourself in the mirror was not a pleasant thing, right from the time when somebody complimented you that you've got a great smile, and I couldn't believe it, so I went back home, looked at the mirror, looked at myself 10 times, smiled at myself to realize that, wow, okay, somebody has noticed a spark, there is something within. Why am I unaware of it? So identify that and love yourself. That's probably the mantra to a balance in life. Body balance comes into place later, but creating that stress-free part, creating that harmony, all of that, the root is self-love. It's extremely important. Why we talk about self-love? Self-respect. And when I say self-respect, it's how you respect your own body. We're all unique. We all come from different genetics. There are different genes that we carry. There are different cultural DNAs that we have. So while, like I used to joke about myself, I have a friend who would eat all the fried stuff in the world and be absolutely thin. And there was me who was eating all boiled stuff, but that was getting fried and giving the effect of deep fried from my own body. Right? So it is difference in bodies, it is difference in diet, it's difference in genetics. And why must we compare with somebody else who comes from a different background altogether, who comes with a different set of genes altogether? So self-respect, so which is why I say that you've got to respect your body. And your body is not wrong. It is the societal cliches that are probably wrong. The concept of size zero. Yes, at the same time, I would not want to say that I do not want to emphasize on the importance of fitness. Fitness is important, but respecting yourself before you get into the regime of fitness, that's extremely important. Another Another very, very important element of body balance, of balance of life, is happiness. And that happiness is an inside job. Truly, I mean, as much as it would sound difficult, that when I'm sad, when I'm depressed, how do I generate happiness within? But trust you me, every solution to all our worries and our problems lie within. It is for us to realize what makes us happy. Do that one thing in a day that makes you happy. Right? Let it be dressing up. Let it be going out for a pizza, for that matter. You know, the day I land up cleaning all the wardrobes in the house, I treat myself to maybe a KFC or something like that, where I want to be happy with myself. So happiness could be anything, and it should not be dependent on an external source. It's important to be happy with your own soul and reward yourself. The happiness within is very powerful. One life. I always keep on saying that to my friends, that I would give up on chocolate truffles if God guaranteed that I'd come back as a human being in another life. Right? So I have this one life. I think the Almighty is already probably regretting that why has He set a crazy person down here. So I'm not sure of how the second birth is going to go. So I want to make the most of this birth. And that's what it is. You know, just as much as people say diet and a particular nutrient-rich diet and ignore the other nutrients and things like that, trust you me, the body tells you what it needs, the body tells you what it doesn't need. There are many a times that you want to go for the next helping because you like the flavor of it. But there are equal number of times if you have a bit of balance within, the body will tell you that, you know what, I can do without the second helping of that. I've tasted that once and I'm happy with that. The important thing is not to let go, not to keep yourself starving and craving for that. In the bit of a weight loss journey that I've had, recently what I've realized ultimately is that the day I feel that I've gained a bit of weight, the first question my husband asks me is, have you been messing up with your meals? So when I start feeling slightly weighty and a bit of extra weight and things like that, one tries to skip meals and say, you know what, I'll cut down on food and I'll feel better and probably lose a couple of pounds here and there. But the body reacts in a way where the moment the body realizes that, you know what, this is not going to come back to me at the right time, so whenever that comes to the body immediately stores it. Whereas if you constantly keep on providing the body what it desires for in a disciplined manner, the body takes in that, enjoys it, and gets it into action. Else it says, oh my God, I'm not going to get another chocolate soon, so I'm going to store it. So that's why starving, keeping yourself starved, or craving for something where your soul is asking for, is something which is going to lead to a slightly heavier thing because your body is going to store it. It's not going to use it up. And the metabolism slows down as well. So what is important for the metabolism is to provide the soul, to provide the body with what it desires for. I would again re-emphasize on the word discipline. And that discipline is again an inside job. The body will let you know what? One piece of chocolate truffle is good enough. Let's wait for another occasion for another piece.
Do you want me to just do that?
Thank you, that would be helpful. With all the discipline and monitoring and control here and there, what is really, really important is to exercise. Now, when we say exercise, when I was at 90 kgs or even 80 kgs and things like that, the society has made exercise and fitness into a size 0 job. So what we do is, the moment we think of fitness, we think of exercise, immediately our mind takes us to a celebrity associated with fitness. Immediately our mind takes us to a size 0 picture perfect figure. And that's when we say, you know what, I'm not into modeling, so leave it. Let me just go on the way I am. So you tend to give up before you start because of the norms that the society has formed. You do not need to live by those norms. You need to start an exercise for a healthier self. I want to be healthy, and it's always better to take those 2-3 steps and at least take those steps rather than think there's nothing that's going to come out of it, and let me rather not take those steps. Every step taken towards moving yourself is a step towards balance, is a step towards a healthier self, and is a step towards your happiness. Now, when we say exercise, it does not really mean to gym, to do yoga, to do aerobics, to do any kind of physical activity which is defined. It could be an activity where you want to just move, and moving the body itself is a form of exercise. So do what you love to do. Don't force yourself. I forced myself into gymming with the fact that yes, I'm going to lose weight, but that didn't work. A yoga worked for me. A Pilates didn't work for a friend. A Zumba worked for her. So you've got to identify that the keynote is that we've got to keep moving. Right? And yes, a positive self-talk. It is hard to, when you look at that, we kind of get a smile that, you know what, that's not really possible. But trust you me, that is possible. Life is the way you envisage it to be, the way you see yourself in it to be. Let life, and especially your own life, not be determined by what the others think of you. It must be determined by how you feel about yourself and how you envisage yourself in future. So yes, if I'm a cat and if I want to envisage myself as a lion, who knows? I might someday become a lioness. But yes, I do have the genes of the lions, right? So it is important for positive self-talk. What happens is, coming back to body balance, is when we're not happy with our bodies, we tend to criticize our bodies more. You know, I have this particular problem, I'm not so good at that, I don't look good in this, and that just leads to your body feeling very, very negative about itself. The important aspect is identify what you're comfortable with, be happy with what you're comfortable with, work towards a better self, a healthier self, and have goals, have goals of whatever you aspire to be, and positively reiterate those goals, not negatively. So if it does mean that I've become my own best friend, I've become my own philosopher and guide, and I'm happy with myself, and I do what keeps me happy, do the direction that I want to go to, rather being led by somebody else in a direction that I may not want to be in, that's not going to help. The only thing that will help is how you feel about yourself, how positively you're talking to yourself, and how much you're in love with yourself. So that's about a little thing from me. Just to sum it up, love yourself, accept and respect your own body, identify with what makes you happy, and trust you me, it is an inside-out job. Do not look for happiness outside. What happens in today's world is that we enjoy the fun aspects of it, and we kind of mix the fun with happiness. Fun is not always happiness, but happiness is always fun. One life, do not starve yourself. Exercise regularly, positive self-talk, and that's the motto of the Health of Women Forum as well, is to make a woman fall in love with herself. That's extremely, extremely important, to be in love once again, and this time with yourself. That's me signing off. Thank you so much, and let's take the next step. Any questions or anything that you'd like to ask about wellness or body balance?
Very nice presentation. And, indeed, the points that have been touched are really very nice. One thing that I would like to emphasize here is that, as Shreya very rightly said, that your inner balance is what reflects the outer balance. But sometimes what happens is that when we talk of cravings as such, sometimes because of some medical reasons, the cravings are also caused. So it is essential that we get into the medical reasons also for the cravings. And this is, I myself experienced it. And once you're off that medical reason, then sometimes your cravings automatically stop. So that is also there in addition to all these things, because these things are must. These things are the prerequisite, but that may also be there sometimes, like some iron deficiency may be there, some calcium deficiency may be there, some other illness may be there. So although especially the nutrient deficiencies like vitamin D and iron, they cause a lot of cravings. So, and that make a person eat a particular kind of thing a lot.
In fact, I'd like to add on to that as well. When we come to cravings, we women go through a lot of hormonal imbalances as well. Now, those hormonal imbalances also create certain responses in the body. They create certain cravings in the body. I myself am hypothyroid, right? I've been suffering from polycystic ovaries for a while. The medications that came along led to a phase of, say, about 3 to 4 months of depression and things like that. And that's the time the body responds differently. But what happens is when you're aware of self, when you're aware of these little pointers in life, when I was going through the phase of depression, I knew that there was something wrong happening to me. And I also knew that the drugs were probably playing havoc with the hormones in the body. So one knew that there is a problem, and you then work towards a solution to that problem rather than giving in to the problem. That's what is also important. So yes, hormonal imbalances, situations of life, phases of life might lead to certain ups and downs. But what's important is once your foundations of self-love and self-discipline and self-control are strong, you actually, instead of being lost in a problem, you're there aware of the problem and identify the problem and then take steps of how coming out of it rather than getting sunk into it. Anything else?
Actually, I just want to ask you, in today's world where time is truly limited, people get drawn to short, quick fixes, while this part of it, which you were explaining, really requires very strengthful motivation from oneself. So what happens is when you start following such kind of a thing, you don't see quick results because it's a time-taking thing, and you just lose it. You lose the motivation for it. So what would be your suggestion that you have to keep moving towards this and then probably give it some time when the results start really showing? Because if the results are not showing, you really don't get motivated enough to show.
You in a way answered your own question. As you said, quick fixes. There are no shortcuts to success. So you've got to give, and as I said, respect your body. You've got to give yourself time. It's not an automatic job that, I hit the gym and in 10 days, I get what I desire to be. So you've got to kind of talk to your body and say, you know what, let's give each other a span of 12 months. Because it's not a product that you're working on. You're working on something that you're born with and is going to be with you till the last day. So when the body has decided to be with you for years and decades ahead, why can't we give it just about 10 to 12 months? So we've got to talk to the body and understand and realize that we've got into this. The good thing is we've taken a step forward. Right? What the challenging thing is that we will not see immediate results. You answered your question by saying quick fixes don't work. So that means you have to get into a sustainable model. So identify something which takes you through a sustainable model. When you get into it, do not just have a weight loss target to yourself right away. Have a wellness target to yourself. So say if I'm taking the rounds of my society, if I'm doing 2 rounds today, my target is going to be I increase it to about 3 or 3.5 rounds. And when we're talking about steps, if I'm doing say 3,000 steps today, let me increase it to about 3,500, 4,000 steps next week, and go further on. And that's how. And when that happens, automatically there is an increase in the input in terms of working out in whatever particular way that you are. And obviously, the output is going to be equally effective. But you've got to give yourself time and be patient about it. Do not get into quick fixes. They don't work. In fact, they bounce back. Yeah. Anything else? Well, thank you so much for patiently listening to me.
So,
You have to hold it pretty close.
oh yeah, I can see that. So there is a lot of tension between body and being somebody. And that's what we are constantly trying to achieve often, is being somebody instead of being in the body. And so just for a minute, I want you to stand and just feel your bodies, because this is what it's all about. It's not actually being in your headspace, it's being in your body and being aware of what your body is telling you and how you actually relate to it, how you listen to it, how you actually honour it. And the thing is that we come in with nothing and we go out with nothing. So while we're here, we have to really understand how body functions and how we live in our skin in a way that is affable and good to ourselves. So if you'd like to just stand for a second and notice where you are in your bodies right at the moment. Like some of you are looking at your phones, and I want you to just lift yourself up and just keep yourself in balance and see if your body is in balance. Like lift right up and stand there and notice how the body's feeling. Is it in balance? Do you actually fall to one side or the left side? How are you feeling in that balance? Now go a little bit higher and notice what you're feeling. And some of you have been very distracted by your phone, so go a little bit further up higher and notice what you're feeling. And just now close your eyes in that moment and see if you can balance, because that's really what life's about. Closing your eyes and seeing. And this beautiful lady's got her shoes on, and so that's supporting her in another way, but take the shoes off and see how that feels in your body. So awareness is something that we often forget about. We're so externalised, we're not internalised. Just close your eyes and feel it. Now open the eyes just for a second. And I want you to just march in one position like this. Just march, noticing that automatically we're walking the way we need to keep in balance. Now I want you to cross your arms as you're marching. Cross your arms. And notice if there's a different feeling. And now I want you to open and expand your arms and see what that feels like. Stop. And see what this expansion feels like. Now I want you to close and feel what this feels like. And feel it. Feel that sensation. And then open it and see what that feels like. Welcome. Very good. Okay, sit down. I'm actually out of balance because I've been flying all night. And so, and I sent a text to my family this morning saying that I've arrived and it's going to be 46 degrees and I feel like I'm going to be in an ice cream cone melting from the top and trying to be stuffed into this cone. So it's an interesting thing about getting your body back into balance and shape to feel comfortable in your skin, because we have this incredible skin around us. It's the largest organ in the body, and yet we don't listen to it. And so we get exposed. The skin is about actually used for protection. It's a barrier to lots of things, but actually the skin is this amazing organ that breathes and expands, and when you're pregnant, it expands and comes back because of the collagenous fibres inside it. And so how do we maintain this shape and balance in the body? How do we do that? And how do we do it in a way that is for our own well-being? And so I think it's quite tricky. You know, the skin is like, you know, we have to take the wrapper off occasionally. The wrapper, it's like we were talking about the chocolate. The chocolate is like the wrapper. And we wrap ourselves up with clothes. We have to take that off and look and feel what's happening inside. Take that wrapper off and seeing what's underneath it. And the key to all things about being in balance is movement. And for me, moving forward is listening to the body and understanding how it functions. And we're so in our headspace. If I said to you, please leave your head outside and move in your body, you would actually find it really difficult to do, because we have all these ruminations, we have all this stuff that's very heavy in our head. In fact, it's very heavy. Life is very heavy. We carry it in our bodies, and the body doesn't lie. And so what happens is we pick up this baggage of shit, you know, and we move it around. We take from one area to the other. This big baggage, you know, we have it on the back, and it's very heavy. You know, all this ruminating stuff in our brain is very heavy. And so in my work, I actually try and help you understand, you know, how it is to actually let go of that and surrender and listen to find out what's happening to the body. So when we talk about balance, we're talking about how to actually move the body in a way that just recognises where it is in the moment. And, you know, part of that is actually really finding out how we relate to it, how we communicate with it. And relating to our body is very difficult because we have all this family constellation stuff that tells us that we're not good enough, we don't feel good enough, we don't look the part, you know, and that comes into self-esteem and self-worth and all this stuff. And the thing is that, you know, if I said to you in 2 seconds, you know, write yourself a self-compassionate letter, what would you say to yourself about yourself and your body? Sometimes it's very difficult to understand when we have a lot of critical moments, you know, that we take on board criticism very easily, self-criticism. You know, we're not good enough. And, you know, the body is not the way it should look. And so, you know, when we move into that headspace, it's very difficult to actually relate to what is really happening to the body. I made a few notes here as I was playing last night because my computer wasn't working properly. So to be who you are is to be yourself. And what does yourself really mean? Who gives you that message about yourself? Who tells you that you're beautiful or not, or fat or thin or whatever it may be? How do we manage that? And that means honouring ourselves and celebrating it, and thanking ourselves every day about who we are. We're very lucky to be born. But human emotions are the drivers. And when we're in our head space and in our ego space, that's what drives us, those human emotions. And so we have very conflicting ideas about, you know, what's right, what's wrong, what messages we receive from outside. And so we actually need to treat our body and nourish it with respect, which is what our former person said. And if you think your body is very special, often your body is special. It's about your thinking capacity. And so we have these thoughts in our head, and the thoughts are often attached to experiences. And so if the experiences aren't good and the thoughts aren't good, we often carry those into the body. And so it's very important for us to actually take in the right thoughts if we're going to be in our head space. But in our body space, we need to be able to feel it as well. So if we're feeling happy, we need to feel it in our bodies. We don't need to walk around thinking that we're happy and we've got a face that looks like we've been punched. You know, we've got to actually express it. And often we don't. And if you notice all when we're walking around the streets now, people walk like this. You know, they might feel happy, but they're like this. You know, well, how does that relate? You know, what does that communicate to somebody else in your body? It doesn't communicate very well, does it? And so, you know, the body's a very powerful organ, and to find the balance in that is a lot of work to do. We actually have to do a lot of work on how to recognise what's important and listen to what's important in our bodies. You know, it's the physical body is this incredibly giant. For me, it's this incredibly dynamic, huge system. You know, we've got so many things happening in the body. We've got the muscular system, the bone system, you know. And look at it. You know, we talk about funny bone, this part, and yet we never feel it. So look to a partner and talk to each other with the bones. That's funny, isn't it? No, it's not. So we're not listening to what some of the organs are teaching us either. And, you know, in life, for me, I've managed my life in a way that, like everybody, we have our fat clothes and our thin clothes and our, you know, the normal ups and downs, waves of living this life. But, you know, this morning when I woke up, I sort of thought about what the word mother meant. And because Mother's Day is coming up this Sunday, if any of you've got children. And, well, for me, mother is about one person that does the work of 20 for nothing. And I always remember waking up one day and thinking, done at last. But actually I wonder how old my kids are when I thought that. Because we're so externalised in every way of our life that we actually don't understand that balance between external and internal. Listening internally as well as externally. We get that confusion. And that's the tension. That's the balance. It's like a bit like breakfast. Break-fast. Fasting in between. We never really think about it, do we? You know, breakfast. It's all about the food. But what about break-fast? The pause between. Between the food in the morning to the dinner at night. And in that pause is where you find the balance. So that's where I'm going to end. Thank you.
Alrighty, we're talking about balance here. Just for a minute, I just want you guys to stand up because I have a question to ask all of you. How many of you in here, by raise of hands, just want to learn how to lose 2 inches in 2 minutes? Anybody? If you do, just stand up if you think that's possible. It is possible, by the way, so I'm going to show you how. So stand up. Come on, open up. We just got the thing about opening. So this is about just being feminine and just getting your chest up, right? It's a straight-up girl thing. And we're talking about just aligning the body, right? So you get your chest up, right? You hold your stomach in, and you squeeze your glutes. It's just a girl thing. You just get cute. You know, and you just hold it in. But see, the deal is the alignment of the body. Because once your shoulders is up, your chest is up, your stomach is in, and you're just high, your confidence is high. So, and you stay there. But the key to staying to an alignment is you have to stay there all the time. You know, a lot of the times we walk around and we're looking down. Our shoulders is down. We're bent. Pull it up. pull your confidence up. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. We're going to talk about the value of self-worth and how you keep it. And you keep it up at all times. Thank you, ladies. Just have a seat. My name is Candice, Camille, as you know, and I am the wellologist. But just a little bit about me. Today, like I said, I own a couple of businesses, work as a wellologist, but I am a mom. I'm a grandmother. I have 2 wonderful children. My son is 38, and my daughter, my oldest, is 42. But just a quick disclaimer, I had that chick when I was 2.
That's the explanation.
That's the explanation.
Yeah, right.
Back then, I was a hot mess with the day.
I was one.
But I am the new 60 and very proud of it as I stand before you here.
Wow.
Because wellness is a state of mind. It's not something that you do, it's who you become. Because that's what being in balance is all about. Because when we think about being balanced or being well or being healthy, we think about eating right and moving and losing weight. And losing weight is just like losing your keys. Eventually you're going to find it back. It's just that simple. So you can't go in it with how you're going to lose weight because it's not about that. It's about being well. Losing weight is the bonus to being well. So today you heard all those accolades, but it wasn't always like that. So 20 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. So I'm a cancer conqueror. I kicked cancers behind back then. So I know what being well and what being sick is all about. So even back then in medical, I was 215 pounds. Yeah, I was a little chunkish back then. Just a little. But it wasn't even about the weight of my body as much as it was about the weight of my mind. Because what we think about, we bring about. And that's basically how this goes. So in order to get your self-worth, when you talk about you, I want to introduce Darcy to you. And that's self-deserving. That's the D. A lot of times we don't think we're deserving of it. We're taking care of our families. We're taking care of our husbands. We're at our jobs. There's 1,440 minutes in a day, and we give about 1,400 of them to somebody else. Let me ask you something. You got a minute for yourself? It only takes one minute to make a decision about you to change the course of your well-being. So back then, 20 years ago, they told me I was going to die. But again, you get to decide. Doctors, anybody else, is not in control of you. There's always another force that got you, and all you have to do is believe. But then there's some work that you have to do. You accept your situation, you own your situation, and then you work your situation. See, because that's where you are in terms of what it is that you do, but then how you're going to be. How are you in terms of you? Like the speakers before me, they talked about having a love affair with yourself. That's what you have to do. You have to fall in love with you. There's some things that you absolutely have to do. The young lady asked, how long does it take? How often do you eat? Or how old are you? 40 years to get you there. It's going to take that long to stay there. So once you figure out your end game, you got to create your game plan. What's your game plan to be well? And it should be a part of your life. For me, movement is everything. It's the elixir. It changes your mental, your spiritual, and your emotional state. All you got to do is get up and put one foot in front of the other. It's this thing called endorphins that changes the balance of your life. So when you're talking about working in your physical limb, your emotional limb, your mental, your spiritual, your financial, and then there's that thing called your passion and your purpose that you're trying to make a profit out of. But one of the things I know for sure, you cannot master any business until you master your body, until you master your life. It's you that's not in your formula, right? We figure out 1 + 1 = 2, but how is that possible when you're not in it? We have everybody else in front of us instead of ourselves. So the A is self-acceptance. So you got to accept yourself. The R is self-respect, and self-responsibility. See, we got to take some responsibility for where we are. You know, no matter what size you are, how old you are, who did what to you as you went here, at the end of the day, it's all about you and creating your balance. You know, and the C is self-confidence. And that just goes with the body alignment. I'm telling you, as women, it's our God-given right to be cute and sexy. You just got to own it. No matter what age you are. No more than you own it, you have to feel it. Do you feel what you want to be? Right? Like the lady said upstairs, she's going to live to 120. I'm going to got her beat. I'm going to live to 150. Because I decided. And that's what you have to do. You have to decide what it is that you want. If you want balance, what is it you're willing to give up? And what is it that you're willing to do to achieve it? Because that's what it is. We say all day long, I want to lose weight. I want to do this. I want to be successful. But what's your game plan? What are you willing to give up, number one? And what are you willing to do to get there? I gave up chocolate. Oh. Well, let me milk chocolate. Like she said, a truffle now and then won't hurt nobody. But it's like, what is it that you're willing to do? To give up, to do it. If you want to lose some weight, or I say release some weight, because once you release some stuff, it don't come back. I released those 100 pounds. I ain't had it back. I've been a chunky 4 for about 24 years now. Yeah, I'm a chunky 4. Did y'all get that? Y'all didn't get that, huh? But anyway, you get to decide, and you work in what you're going to be. So when you talk about the things that you have to do, again, it's something physical, something nutritional, and then you got to breathe, and then you got to sleep. I hear folks talk about sleep is overrated. No, it's not. If you don't go to sleep, the body doesn't build. So there's a few things that you have to do every single day. And then you have to ask yourself, are you willing to do it? Are you willing to do it to get to that balance? It's like, what is it that I can do to turn my can I into a I can? Now that can I, y'all ready for this? Is complacent and not improving. We just hanging out there. Nothing's changing. We say we're going to change every day, but we don't. We quit. One of the things you have to do is push past your quit. Hashtag. Push past your quit each and every time. But even before you start anything, you want to go to the doctors, you want to make sure you're okay, and then you start to move and create your game. That's how you have to do this no matter what. So you have to flip your can I to a I can. So the I can means you have to initiate somewhere. You got to start. That's my big I words. Come on, you guys give me some more I words. Big I words that's going to make you change, that's going to make you do something. Anybody?
I will.
I will. What else? I am. What else?
I can.
I can. That's the whole thing. I can. So you got to initiate this thing. You have to have an intention, and you got to make an investment. That's the I. It may not be money, but it definitely have to be some time. The C is committed. You have to get committed. Give me some more C words. Work with me here, y'all. Come on. Consistent. Confident. What else? Compliment. What else? Courageous. Absolutely. You have to have some courage to do this thing. Because when you're talking about changing, control, commitment, right, consistency, you have to have the courage to control your change so nobody else will. Right? And then there's the A. That's just attitude adjustment. We know we got to adjust our attitudes. You know, you got to change some stuff. You got to go from pain to pleasure in 16 seconds. Because when we stay in the negative part and the pain part, all of that, nothing happens. But if we jump over here to the pleasure part and start laughing and start smiling, you know, things have a tendency to change. But you have to want that change. You have to want the change. Another word for A is action. What action you gonna take? You know, we sit here and we talk a good game. My grandmother always said, listen, chick, you either gonna run your mouth or move your butt. Which is it gonna be? You get to decide. You know, you have to change the game. It's not necessarily has to be in a straight line, because my life is crooked lines. But at the end of the game, you're going to get to the finish line, but it's yours. It's nobody else's. It's your race, your pace. You get to decide how you're going to do this. No matter what it is that you want. Is it in your body? Is it in your business? Is it in your money? Because those are the things that design our life. You know, how are you going to make a difference in it? Activate this thing. It's the thing that's on the inside of you. You know that thing. You know, it's like the old gas stove, and like I said, I aged myself. You turn it on, and it goes click, 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 click. You know the old thing, it just goes click, click, click. Here, click, 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 click. Turn it back off, you turn it back on. Click, 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 click. Nothing happens till you throw a match on it, right? Because sometimes you just got to make it go boom. You got to throw something on it to make it go boom. That's how that goes. What are you willing to throw into the pot, throw into the fire to make it go boom? Everybody say, make it go boom.
Make it
Go boom. That's right. Make your life go boom. That's how excited it should be. And the end is just necessary. Simple, right? It all sounds simple until we have to walk in it. Because we get, I don't want to do it. That left side of our brain talks us out of it. It's too hard, right? I want easy. I wanted it yesterday. I want the microwave. It doesn't work like that. It's something that you absolutely have to do. There's a few things that I do daily, and I've been doing now for the last 2 or 3 decades just about, of getting well. Because that should be your end game when you talk about it. So if it's 20 pounds you want to lose, if it's 10 pounds you want to lose, if you want to start a new business, if you want to make more money, what's your plan? And you start working in it. See, because it's a life plan. It's not for tomorrow. It's not for next week. How long you want to live? That's how long it's for. Because when you start doing the right thing, that's how you achieve balance. And once you get that balance, you now have the harmony that you're looking for. So you no longer have to juggle. Because you know when we juggle, we take our eye off the ball one fall. But when you have that vibrational harmony, it just happens. No matter what. You can look up, look down, turn around, sit down. And it will still work for you. All you have to do is turn your can I to a I can. Own your self-worth, which is deserving, acceptance, self-respect, self-confidence, self-integrity, and self-esteem. And that all starts in your mind. So I want to leave you with the mind is the master power, and we are mind. And evermore, it takes the tools of thought, the shaping what we will. Our mind brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. We think secrets, and it comes to pass. Our mind is our looking glass. Ladies, what you think about, you bring about. Your inner picture really will determine your outer world. The power is in your hands. You get to decide how you want to create balance in your life. It can be done. But how bad do you want it? And what are you going to do to make it come to you? Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Does anyone have any questions? Anybody?
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome the next speaker, Simmi and Sagareeka. I don't see you together.
Yeah, I think the topic changes. I'll do that.
gosh. Could you just give me a second? I don't know. That's it? Yeah, that's it. हाँ ये किसका है? ये इनका है जी. Hello जी.
Hi, yeah.
आपका
No, that's okay.
That's mine.
I'll be sweet.
And
I
you
don't
need
know.
to change the that color. ये देखो वो ना डमरू तो एक्चुअली मैंने वो डमरू ढूंढ लिया ना अच्छा ये स्टार्ट करने के लिए do you need us to help you with the slides?
No, mine will be automatic. I don't have a
Once it's
slideshow.
on, it's on.
For me, once it's on, it's on. So I'll tell you when. So we meet again.
Sagareeka, good to see you. Students who follow on a regular basis.
Otherwise, I'm a cybersecurity professional. So I run UnHack program. I do technology workshops for schools, PGP. So that's what brings me here. But otherwise, I was into cybersecurity.
Sagareeka ma'am, please, where's the PPT? What is it? Where's the PPT? Yeah,
Just to click. Explain that in the next 10 minutes.
Just to click, right? Just play it once and check.
Without technology.
Yeah, perfect. Close.
I did yours.
Presentation okay करना है, minimize कर रही हूँ, right ना? Minimize कर, yeah, अभी
There are several timelines, 24 aspects around that time. It says you see something.
Sagareeka folder, right?
And all
Double
it
click.
says is the
Okay,
aspects
play on its own and maximize it. I will touch the double. Yeah.
invariably conform to one of
अभी
the
start है ना? Sorry, I keep doubling.
that is the universe of design.
नहीं, हाँ, बिल्कुल. Actually, हम
Once you have an ability to once you have
So basically, it makes you think about your own happiness. That's the idea. I would need that.
we all do.
We all. I think that's the hardest part, how to be happy.
Can I get a hot tea?
Yeah.
You'll have to hold it pretty close.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Simmi. I do run professional development programs for technology teaching for schools, and otherwise I'm a cybersecurity professional. But today I will be talking about something slightly different. When I shared the pre-read of this session, I was trying to talk about the role of education in technology, in unhacking our potential, how technology has opened doors of knowledge and given us avenues and opportunities to, connect with the world, to communicate with the world, to expand our universe. We will definitely come back to that in about 10 minutes. Since web is all about talking about your experiences, I'm taking the liberty to digress from the topic of the little, because in this short span of time, between the time I shared the pre-read and today, I experienced complete randomness, complete disorientation, complete disorder. As if something hit me in the head and I did not know how to handle it. I was completely disoriented. It was a fleeting moment, but the impact was phenomenal. And And we all have these kinds of experiences in our life, and it's because we have built this universe around us, which directly links to our natural environment, to our social and professional institutions, to the technological devices we use. And the cause and effect here is not proportional, which means that a small thing can lead to a big impact, and a big effort put to something probably might just yield little. What in mathematics we called nonlinear. And this is the reality today. In mathematics, nonlinear equations do not have an absolute solution. We've gone through various occasions in life when we do not have actual solutions. I would like to use the realm of physics and mathematics to explain how we can handle them, or how we can even prevent their occurrence. My dad's a physicist. He says that anything which physics cannot explain is metaphysics. But the day physics defines it, it moves from the realm of metaphysics to physics. I've tried to do exactly that. Chaos theory. Chaos theory is a very interesting idea. It says that butterfly flapping wings in Brazil can lead to tornado in Texas. This is a very interesting concept. Chaos theory talks about the fact that, to refer to something. Yeah, so basically it says that the butterfly effect has been widely used all over by various scientists to explain phenomena which cannot be predicted or controlled, like the turbulence, the weather conditions, the stock market, the thoughts in our mind. And what chaos talks about is a little change can have a huge impact. This theory was pioneered by Edward Lorenz way back in 1961. He was working on the weather predictions, and he was using a calculator, and we could have not done it before that because there were no computers available. He was using a computer which could calculate things up to 6 decimal places. And then he took a printout and he did the next simulation, which was up to, the print had only 3 decimal places. So he inputted that. So instead of putting in 5.1.12345.6, he put 5.123. The results he got were drastically different from what he had predicted. Chaos is a science of surprises, it's a science of the non-linear, it's a science of the unpredictable. If the butterfly had not flapped its wing at just that point of time, in time and space, the tornado would have not happened. And this is an actual reality. And this is what in English we say, everything is falling apart, always, everywhere. So, chaos theory also says that if we can calculate all the variables of that particular system at that point in time, then we can predict or prevent occurrences. So, which means that if we can calculate, since we cannot calculate all the butterflies, winds all over the world, we can never ever predict weather ever to the accuracy we wanted. So we know there's chaos. It's been proved. It can happen by a flapping of a butterfly's wings. So how do we handle it? There's a dictum which says what can't be measured can't be managed. So how do we manage this chaos which comes to our life and hits us? There is another concept in mathematics and physics. I think some people must have heard of it. It's called entropy. And I'm sorry, I'm digressing, but I'm coming back to the topic we're talking about, but I thought this was important since I experienced it personally. Entropy is a measure of randomness. You must have heard about that. It was invented by Rudolf Clausius in the 19th century. Entropy says that it basically measures the number of states a system can be in at a given point in time. Let me substantiate it with a very simple example. You put a marble in a big box and you shake the box. Marble could be anywhere. It could have any number of positions. Now you reduce the size of the box in such a way that the surface of the marble touches the edges of the box. Now you shake the box. You pretty much know where the marble is. The marble in the small box has low entropy, which means, which is right here. Mathematically, those who are inclined, entropy is a K constant into logarithm of n. N is the different kind of states we can have at a particular time. So Newton actually devised entropy. Entropy originated way back 300 years ago when he was working with temperature, heat, energy, and work, which is thermodynamics, if anybody is a physicist here. We said that the law of universe says that either the entropy remains the same, or it increases. So universe the entropy is going up or it remains the same. We see this in our everyday life. Buildings which are left. One step forward, she's just spoken about it. I'll actually take you through what are the websites. Maybe you could use your phone. It's a movie that I'll be playing and then I'll explain it to you. It's all the websites that I'll be giving it and you could use them. These are all free of cost. Yeah, I put it in inverted commas, it's free of cost. There is no cost because nowadays school managements really think twice before they want to invest into software. Whereas everything is available online and you can just go through it. Yeah, I'll start. Thank you. I'll take a back seat for some. Virtual reality and augmented learning. These are all the free softwares available. Technology in school management. To manage learning in classrooms and for assessments. I'll explain SMART once after the presentation. This works even on the older computers.
Works like Trehan Academy across subjects. So it's excellent. It's totally game based and children love it. Flickr, 3D images, art. And the last, software for assessment. You can actually frame questions, MCQs, and children can solve it online. All your examinations can go online, your assessments. Your formative assessments as well as summative assessments can be online. Edmodo, you can have conferences with different countries. A lot of learning happening cross-culture. It's a plagiarism software free of cost, wherein you can actually detect whatever your children, whatever work your children are doing, whether they have plagiarized. Yeah, exhaustive listener.
Fantastic.
Huh?
Wow. Fantastic.
Yes. So now this is all about technology in classroom. Free of cost, absolutely. You can use this worldwide. Yeah. Now coming back to smart classroom, these days, initially it was STEM learning. STEM learning was science, technology, engineering, and math and mathematics, right? But then later on, people thought that okay, STEM is not enough. You need room for creativity and logical reasoning, critical thinking. So what do you do for all these things? So then they thought that they must include art in it. Okay. So once they include art, STEM became STEAM. Fine. The A stands for STEAM. Yes. So STEM, the A stands for STEAM. That is, you are making art a co-curricular activity and not an extracurricular activity for the learners to be more creative and innovative, because that's what the world is looking out for. That is what creates employability. Yeah, we learn for employability. So hence art. But now recently, this all has become what I show you here. I showed you there was an acronym. What was the acronym? I just want to know how many of you have been paying attention. SMART, exactly SMART. SMART stands for science, maths, art, research and technology. Because the word says that you have to develop research skills and you need to include technology because as she rightly said, Simmi rightly said, these are all technology natives. They are born in the world of iPads, smartphones. Hence, smart learning system will certainly help give our learners a better world to learn and learning will be more interactive and of course they will prosper better. Thank you so much.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
My question is, that's okay. My question is that we have seen all these technologies being infused in schools. The problem comes is that when the teachers have to submit their normal methodology, the assessments, the testing is the normal way, the CBSE way. How do you blend the two? I mean,
Mine is an
challenging
international
is it?
school, so we do everything through this. Whatever I've shown you, we use it in class.
But that's just about the tip of the pyramid. What happens to the rest of the pyramid?
For the rest of the pyramid, they don't even have so many laptops or maybe, a technology room or something like this. We are really blessed to have it and hence we are using it. And for me, it's really sad if our education system doesn't support technology in classroom because that is, I think we have to then in that case change and look for a change.
Second question which I have heard from academia and parents is that they are digital distractors. If you open the internet in school.
Exactly.
There is cyberbullying. We've done workshops on that also. So how do you handle
That's why I did put YouTube. YouTube is a very good learning platform. But the moment you go into YouTube, on the side, you see so much of distraction, nail art, this art, that art. The child, it's very difficult to monitor children. That's why I did put YouTube. And it's a very good free software. But let me tell you, YouTube is a major distraction. Whereas these ones which I have put in, I have really worked with them. And they are the least, because these are least known also. I'm sure most of you didn't know these. So they are not known, hence there are less of advertisements on these particular, these softwares, and I think they are pretty safe. Because Padlet, we are using Padlet for homework, right now, there's a summer break in school, we are using Padlet, we are using TED Talks, the TED School, there is all the science and math videos, our children are watching it and they are also commenting, and teachers, principals, we are all involved in it, and we all are commenting on the videos, so it's all collaborative learning.
So even in summer break, you are connected.
Oh yes, absolutely. We have to use it more productive. It has to be productive, So we are all on it. We are all on our smartphones and we are working. And if you're just doing a presentation and you could get in touch with me, I don't know how, but I could certainly share it with you all. It's on my pen drive. I'll be happy to do that. Yeah?
I would like to take that if that's okay.
Yeah.
Actually.
No. Yeah, thank you so much. No, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to have to find out how to do this because I'm actually a Mac person.
No, it doesn't matter. If you can't do it, that's fine.
Thank you.
Forget about it.
It's been
Thank you very much once again for some of us that were also in the earlier hall when I was speaking. And for the benefit of the others, I may be a little repetitive. So I reckon some of you will have to suffer me. Simmi, that was wonderful. You spoke about, and we all believe that we've come into a world which is very VUCA, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, and the paradigms of yesterday have no relevance today. Okay, and the sooner we get used to that reality, the better, because you don't know what's going to happen the moment you walk out of the room. There's a flood outside, by the way. Have you guys been told that there's a flood in Delhi? No? No? So remember, every single thing that we have with ourselves today, including you yourselves, every single thing, this room, the air conditioning, the tables and the chairs that we sit on, the cameras, the cell phones, every single thing that we have around ourselves today was once considered impossible. So we've all got to get up to worshipping impossibility. And that was wonderful, coming from you and the entire mishmash of resources that you sort of put together. Very good. From my own experience, which was at Microsoft, part of the leadership team in India, I'd like to help you do this a little better. So there are two types of resources. And by the way, I have to digress just a little bit to tell you how much I hate Narayana Murthy, the celebrated architect of Infosys that went ahead and created cyber bullying right around the world that go ahead and service America and Europe and everywhere else, but they don't do jack shit for India. Why? Because all that we've done is created cookie cutters. We haven't created one product out of Infosys. Show me one product that one Indian company has created. There's none. It's sad. We turn out billions of dollars. We become shareholders in companies where we take home salaries and go ahead and leave jaws dropping all over the place. And some of us have been following the media and the press in terms of what's happening there. And Mr. Sikka talking to, looking at taking away nearly $7 million worth of our salary a year. But we do nothing for this country. Why? It's because we're very consumptive. We only teach people and children to consume. We don't encourage them to create. So to add to what you pointed out, Sagareeka, you might want to look at it with a slightly different eye. As I said also in the last call, the act of discovery lies not just in looking for new lands, it also lies in looking with new eyes. Right? What you want to do is to actually go through the entire list that you've created. Anything where technology becomes an assistive partner, where it assists the child's learning, keep it. Anything that is meant for the consumption of the child, remove it. I would remove Khan Academy from there, the first thing. I don't want my children to look at the Khan Academy. I want them to learn what it takes to make a 4 out of a 2 and 2, or perhaps a 5. Because all that we've done is that we've gone ahead and created cookie cutters out of some of these models. And why I say that, and essentially for you, at in the international schools, my own children have been to some lovely schools, but I find, here is the difference I find. I grew up in rural environments. My father was in the army, so my growing up years were all in a village in Punjab. With those days, you didn't even have lexicon. So, and my grandfather would tell me, if you have trouble, and I'd say, what's the trouble? Because there's no lexicon, so there's no reason for me to be hassled about the fact that there wasn't any. I used to play in the sun all day long, and it never bothered me. But today is a different story, and I can't sleep in the night if the AC in the room is not on. We've all become used to a different reality, right? So I understand the challenges with the new students that we are sort of bringing up, our own children, and the students that lie outside my classroom. Is this that children today are becoming very insensitive? They're becoming very insensitive. The child doesn't care what the driver takes home as a salary is the size of a pizza that he eats with his friends at a mall. He doesn't care. He has never bothered to look at a brick kiln worker, a brick kiln which may be there right around the house. How a construction worker lives his life. What is a school for blind? What are some of these other things? So empathy, by the way, is something that I'm referring to, which is slowly but subtly and certainly getting out of our lives. In this entire story of chasing Pokemon, in this entire story of technology which helps us create simulations, we've forgotten to live as who we are. We've forgotten to acknowledge as who we are. And on that, I'd like to hold forth specifically, which I did in the last room, on this little venture that I've created post my leaving Microsoft. I've gone ahead and created a platform that enables a child to first become heartful and mindful. If I were to ask the finest children, which is what I said also the last call, the finest children coming out of IIM forget schools, as to, could you please stand up and speak to me for 3 minutes about yourself? He can't. So all that we've done is we've gone ahead and packed the child with information and education that he'll tell you how the Prime Minister needs to work in this country. He'll tell you how a ship can fly and how a plane can drive on a runway. But he won't be or she won't be able to sit down and talk to you about herself or himself first. I come first. So this entire story of hand-me-downs, which is what Narayana Murthy has done to this country, and this entire story of buying resources and getting resources, whether free or paid for, and I love free. Everybody loves free resources, and here's what Desmond Tutu said, by the way. Desmond Tutu, and he said, when missionaries came to Africa, we had the land, they had the Bible. They said, shut your eyes, we did. And they said, let's pray, and we did. And when we opened the eyes, we realized that we had the Bible, they had a land. This brain of ours is finished. The walls of the brain are not, you can't extend the walls of this brain. It's finite. And it's true. You can only dream what you've seen. You cannot even dream what you've not seen. People tell you, I dreamt, this is impossible, this is like a dream. It's not like a dream, because a dream is something that you've seen in reality for you to be able to dream. And for anything else that in your sleep you went ahead and came across, you won't even remember next morning because it was incoherent. You did not even receive it. It didn't even get into your head. So all that I'm trying to say is this, that it's a great thing to have resources that are for free. But we've got to encourage children in order to be able to create resources. And I'm not talking about free or paid, I'm talking about sustainable. There is no sustainability in this entire universe that comes without money. Anybody who's trying to sell me Facebook today is actually taking a part of my mind away. And studies reveal that 32% of a child's mind today is preoccupied with social media. He or she has gone ahead and lost the ability to fly a kite like I used to, and for 4 hours look at the string and look at the kite and have several thoughts course through his or her own head, anymore. If he is not connected to Facebook and if he or she hasn't seen a post happening every 1 hour, he or she thinks he or she is digitally dead. And they get very nervous. That's what's happening. So I think this entire story of using technology, great. But we've got to use technology, but technology, we do not allow technology to abuse me. And technology abuses me every single time technology walks into my head and wants to occupy 1 micromillimeter of that brain or that space that I have in my mind. I don't want to keep my mind space for technology. I want to learn how to drive a car. I don't want to tell the car to drive me. I want to learn how to get to a place myself. Roads are made by walking. Roads are never made by following. And I gave some of those statistics in the last talk, which I'd like to repeat now for the advantage and benefit of those that were not there. Very scary statistics. $2.7 trillion is the economy of the country, which is growing at about 7% annually. Next year, that would mean a fresh infusion or an infusion of about $200 billion. The $200 billion would have to come from cement, steel, concrete, FMCG, services, every single thing, roads, bridges, hotels, everything. Perhaps the 5% of that would go towards creating jobs. What are we talking about? The purpose of education is to create productive workers. Workers that can produce and contribute to the economy. So the 5% of $200 billion is like $10 billion. And that $10 billion would again have to be split into 2 halves. One that goes into servicing people that are already employed. The balance $5 billion is then going to go ahead and look at hiring workers. There are 5 million graduates, ladies and gentlemen, that are hitting the street every year. And no more than 25% of them get hired at an average salary of about $4,000 a year. Because that's what it will come to. If you have to split $2 billion against 25 billion or $5 billion against 25% of the 5 million students that hit the street every year post their graduation, you arrive at about $3,000, $4,000 per student, 25% of the students. The balance 75% are waging wars on the streets outside. And if some of my own children, including my own children, ma'am, if some of our own children are not made aware of this very, very grim reality, I'm sorry, one of those days they're going to be sitting in their lounges, sipping their lovely wine and coffees and what have you, and then they'll hear this rude knock on the door, and the fellow will just walk in and throw him out and say, I'm going to take over everything here. There's a civil war happening in Jammu and Kashmir, there's a civil war happening in Haryana, there's a civil war happening in Gujarat, there's a civil war happening in the northeast region of the country, there's a civil war happening in Madhya Pradesh, there's a civil war happening in Chhattisgarh, there is a civil war happening in this country. And all that we want to talk about is education. I think we've got to expand the paradigm of education. We've got to expand our own assessment in terms of where is it that we are. Are we really creating heartful and mindful children, or are we not? Because if we're not doing that, then somewhere or the other, we're doing justice to the salary we take home, but we're not doing justice to the creation of a country, which is a basic tenet of providing education, or provisioning education in our education institutions. So that's the point that I needed to make. Life for Life is one such platform. that becomes each individual's, each child's personal almanac of heartfulness and mindfulness. It's been created in a very fun-filled kind of a format, more like Facebook, because that's what people are used to. So when we thought about this, it's taken us 2 years to get to where we are today. But when we thought about this, we got to a point where we said, you can't tell people not to use Facebook. So we also deeply integrated it into Facebook, and we said, whatever you post here, just click and share. Go ahead and do it. But I still ask people, what's Facebook got to do with the price of onions on the street? If you don't even remember what you posted last, if you don't even remember who liked what on your Facebook page last, or what you liked what on whoever's Facebook page last, you don't recall nothing, and yet 32% of your mind you've given it. On the balance 68% mind, we create 90%. A 90% on a balance 68% of the mind is like a 50% on an average, on a scale. So we're not doing any justice. We're creating cookie cutters. We are using technology, we are employing technology, but we're not deploying it. We're not creating it. It would be so much more wonderful if some of us could actually, and one of the suggestions that I made in the last call was this, that in order for us to inspire the new generation of children, we've got to provide each child with 6 servants, as much as they have a lot of them. Those 6 servants are who, what, why, when, where, and how. And take them away from a classroom which is rote into a classroom which is experience. That's how the West has succeeded. That's exactly why the basic opportunity deficit that exists in this country happens only because we are a rote learning environment and we are not an environment which is creative learning. Is why the gap between the rich and the poor. Is why we're not even sensitive to whatever is happening around ourselves. Is why we don't believe in solutions, and even when we believe in solutions, we believe in narrow solutions. Sir, I will send my coolies, they'll sit in your location, they'll fix your problem. We don't believe in outcomes. So what's the outcome? We create a solution, but we don't have an outcome. If that solution goes ahead and does more than get the child his salary back home, and leads to or lends to or contributes to an outcome, where the child can go ahead and pick up 2 children on the street and also teach them, now that would be an outcome. So I'm not trying to teach spirituality here. All I'm trying to say is that I've gone ahead and created this tool. It's mindfulness and heartfulness. For some of you guys that might want to use it, go ahead, check it out, and you will realize anything and every single thing that I've seen, and this is something that I spoke to folks, even from the United Nations, when they awarded us, so I'm an award-winning director and producer of Life for Life, but my film hasn't seen success in the commercial marketplace. That's true for most award-winning films, and that essentially happens because, the commercial people are more driven by whatever's happening, let it happen. So I'm still and I'm into talks with a bunch of educationists who seem very alive to the idea, and now they're warming up to the idea of saying, yeah, we agree with you, and that something like this ought to happen. So I don't lose a single opportunity where I can talk about your heartfulness and your mindfulness. It is about my experience first. And my experience doesn't come to me from products outside. My experience comes to me from an understanding of my dilemmas, comes to me from an understanding of my conscience, comes to me from an understanding of my ambition. These are my personal experiences that I need to relate to. So we went ahead and created a timeline, and we put 12 aspects of mindfulness and 12 aspects of heartfulness, and then we open it to the child and we say, if you see something, say something. And if you say something, that tile becomes green, and if you don't say something for a week, the tile becomes yellow, and if you still don't say something, then the tile becomes red. So in effect, it goes in and produces for the child his or her own almanac, where he or she says, listen, I'm the charioteer, and I've got these 12 horses in tandem running behind and ahead of my chariot. And out of these 12 horses, 10 are down because they're red. Am I a great learner? And I can run it and I'm happy to run it as an experiment in your schools, in your educational institutions, with your students, and show you some remarkable, some significant results, for us to be able to understand as to what is it that comprises mindfulness and heartfulness How is it that we need to roll the education system out with a certain base? What is how does it, on what sort of a ground are we creating this education? Where is it that the child is going to go in college? If that child is not even aware of a construction worker's plight right outside his house, that man should be damned. Because sooner or later they'll be doomed. So on that note, I thank you all for listening to me. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have. Sure. Take this. I think it's connected to the.
So, could you just elaborate more on what kind of is it a website?
Yeah.
Or okay. So I have a question on that. You just said that 32% of the mind just doesn't work when we look towards the technology. So you're catering to a problem which I personally feel is a very great thing to do. But what made you choose a technological way? Can it be another way also?
So, I was with Microsoft, part of the leadership team in India, and I was sent on a sabbatical, or not a sabbatical, more like a break. So they sent me to Moy and said, Yogi, live here for like 7 days and have fun, and then come back and we're looking to post you one of those European countries, and you've done a great job for us here in India. Fantastic, man. What more can we do for you? And I was on a fat salary. Simmi is on one, and and how life is in some of these American companies. It's shameful. I don't even want to talk about the kind of money we would take home, but I had no life. So the 7 days I spent on that Moy Island were fantastic, because they enabled me to reflect on my own reality. And having reflected upon my own reality, I discovered that I had done nothing. I couldn't connect the dots in my life. I ask you, if I ask any of you to stand up and talk about what's your life, so what's your story? You guys don't have a story. Am I right? Do you have a story? None of us have a story. So what are you doing here? You came to this planet to be able to live and to be able to do something, I say. But if you don't have a story, you have done nothing.
Yeah, so I would like to interrupt on this. So Storyfy is a software
which
you use to make a story. It's very important that children learn to speak about themselves.
Correct.
So this is Storyfy is a software where you can type your story and people comment on it, people build on it. It's very important. Facebook also has come up with My Story. Yeah. WhatsApp has also come up with My Story. Why? Because they have realized that people have started becoming very independent. So they want to bring people together. So story.
So,
Facebook today is the major source of information. Trending is what teaches children what's happening in the world. Not the Times of India, not the Hindustan Times read. So I definitely do not agree that technology is not.
And at the same time,
and Yogi, if you say no, you don't want to drive the car, the reality is they're self-driven cars. You will be driven by the car. I mean, it's happening. How can we deny it? How do we fight it?
I use that more as a cliche, and it's not in the
just,
sense of the word.
We can't fight a tide which is so strong.
I'm going to go a step deeper now.
Yeah, no, and one more point is that what you said, see, learning is cognitive learning and non-cognitive learning. Non-cognitive is all about your skill-based. It's skill-based learning. Integrity, values, it's all value-driven. Hence, classroom teachers can never replace technology. Teachers will always be there because the non-cognitive learning technology can never get you through it. So teachers, the human touch, the value system will always be very strong. Teachers have to be there.
Right.
It's like the school system can never exceed the quality of teachers.
Yeah,
I absolutely agree with Sagareeka. And that's why we work more with teachers, with parents, because it will anyway translate into working for students.
Right. So great Storyfy and all that's very good. I'm going to go a step deeper. I'm going to just pick a student in your school and say, tell me your story. And I can tell you that 9 out of 10 students will fail you and me because they don't have a story. Because, and again, I'm going to touch upon the cognitive aspects of a child. A child is like a sponge. That little child, the little girl or boy is still forming in his head. He doesn't know or she doesn't know a whole bunch of things. Till such time as you do not tell him or her that there's something called an inhibition, he or she would not even recognize it. Well, I don't want to go and see that movie, I'm inhibited. I don't want to eat brinjals, I'm inhibited. I don't like color brown, I'm inhibited. Till such time as you don't put into the child this word called inhibition, he or she will never start responding or corresponding with that word. My confession, my ambition, my conscience. So these are, talking about cognitive learning, all that I'm saying is that we've gone ahead and therefore, coming back to your question, I took this call in terms of going out, stepping out, and helping people create a story. Not just give you a software where you can write a story, that's fairly simple, but giving you the hardware inside of your own system, which will provoke you, which will excite you to be able to say something. And I'm saying, if you see something, say something. And all these 24 aspects that we picked on, we went and consulted the Indo-American Psychological Association. We consulted film stars, we consulted rickshaw pullers, we consulted spokespeople, we consulted educationists, we consulted actors, we consulted people in the army, we consulted all kinds of people before we went ahead and created for you your own mind map and your own heart map. And then we said there are 24 aspects, split 12 on either side. Well, if you see something, say something. You will not be able to disagree with, and 18 out of those 24 aspects you will agree with. Now that is the premise, that is the presumption that we've sort of taken on the platform. And if you agree with 18 of those 24 life aspects, it's your own chariot. Go ahead and see how many of your horses are up or how many horses are not running. And is that clear? So really it's a platform that we've created. It's not like a web page like Facebook is. It's your own website. So in my case, my website would be called lifeforlife.com/yogi. In your case, it will be your website called www.lifeforlife.com/your-name, right? There are aspects that you can keep private. There are aspects that you can keep public. Choose, right? That's what it does. But all that it does is that it goes ahead and tells you that this is your life. How much of your life is red or green or yellow? That's part of it.
You answered my question.
Have I?
What is the age a person?
So, we went ahead and created this for anybody and everybody.
But how is a child defined?
I'll tell you how. So for a child that's below 14 years of age, we insist that the child is given this as a platform, as a project work that he or she takes home. And the parents have to sit for less than 10 minutes every day and make the child sit down and say, darling, today we're going to do your conscience. Now the mother or the father in the time that we live in, and more so in some of these international schools, and I've seen it. I'm not trying to sort of point a finger, but I've seen it in our own schools where we send our own children. Children don't care. Parents themselves don't care. So you tell the parent, and we've given them ideas. We said, check with the child, if the child knows the salary of the bus driver that drives the child home. Check with the child if he or she would like to go and spend the next birthday in a school for blind, or has she ever visited? What does a blind man feel? Yeah, so there are some of these suggestions that we make. So for below 14 years, there's a separate platform on the same thing. For above 14 years, there's a separate platform on the same thing. The aspects for a below 14-year child are different from the aspects for an above 14-year-old child. But what it does is that it goes ahead and fills the child up with his or her own self. As we say, I'm Brahmasmi. I'm God. That's what Hinduism. I'm not referring to it as a religion because it isn't one. It's just storytelling. But that's what we believe in. So how do I become God? I don't become God by chasing a Reebok or a Nike. I don't become a God by chasing a Louis Vuitton. I don't become God. I am the brand, and I go ahead and demolish myself as a brand and then start chasing brands outside. It's all within. And like Sadhguru says, he says, you see something beautiful. What is it? Did you see something beautiful, or are you beautiful? So someone said, that something is beautiful. No, it's not like that. Because this retina of yours has gone ahead and taken an image of that object, processed that image, taken it inside you, and it is inside you that you become beautiful by merely looking at that image. But do you become beautiful, or does Louis Vuitton become more beautiful? No, Louis Vuitton becomes more beautiful for sure in the time that we live in, because we are constantly missing the woods for the trees. We just have a couple of these twigs, and those people will continue. Do you think you have a life? You don't have a life. Irrespective of whether it is YouTube or whatever, it is the browser that controls your life. You write anything on that browser, the browser knows what to show you next. It's not Facebook, it's not Twitter, it's not nobody else. It's the browser that knows exactly, Simmi, am I right?
Yeah, you can use the incognito mode, but that's
No.
different.
Nobody does
Yeah, the
the
browser
incognito
knows.
mode.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
Anything on the net,
Anything that
there
you
is no
put
privacy.
on the browser, any website that you type, anything that you do on the browser, there is an intelligent monkey sitting at the back of the browser that knows that you're looking at these shoes. He will continue to beat you down with the shoes till such time as you haven't bought those shoes. Right? So that's what life is. You're chasing Pokemons. Is this life? I mean, what's happened to the soccer that we would play in the parks outside? Not happening. And forget the children, the adults are doing it. So it's all about mindfulness and heartfulness, guys. On that note, all I'm going to say is the entire thing is that there has to be a basis, a ground on which you go ahead and create this wonderful story of education. Let's first define that ground. And if the ground is not mindfulness and if it is not heartfulness, we better be sitting and waiting at home for the guy who will come in to kill me and take my money away from me or rob my car. Because it's happening and it's a reality. Unless we don't wake up now, there's going to be only more trouble. Right? So I look very good when I dress up nicely and come and talk to you here, but I'm going to be the most woeful looking creature outside on the road the moment I stepped out and somebody hugged me. Right? I won't even be able to face my own self. So let's spare a thought for the world outside. Yeah, so it's all about people, it's all about planet, and then it's about profit. That's the small point I made. Thank you.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
And share with you the platform.
Yeah.
Do you see it make sense?
Yeah, because we have a 10 story growth mindset, a 10-point thing that we give to the parents to develop growth mindset. Whatever you were saying, that every day they need to ask the children, spend time with them, ask them these 10 questions. I have from my Facebook, I have an education. Even if you just type on Facebook education management, I keep on posting these. So the 10 questions I give the 10 questions. We ensure that we ask them, have you all done it? I mean, at least every day, because every day the children succeed. We don't have to want the children. The parent also has to be responsible enough. Why should we monitor the parents? That's not our job. Our job is to inform them. If they don't want to spend that kind of time, we can't. But then, for a growth mindset, there's a question that we have. You can. I mean, on Facebook there is education management. There are the yes. You can join me on Facebook
I'll join you. The thing is that and I'll also send you this thing, which becomes like every child's own personal almanac of sorts. Children have phones, and so we've also developed an app now. And and it becomes your life alumni. More than anything else, it becomes your life. Any child that you've trained to sort of update his or her own life across these 12 and 12 dimensions, he or she is never going to give up writing that story even after he or she leaves school, because now you've been trained to sort of do it.
Perfect. You can join on LinkedIn, and then on LinkedIn also, and education management on Facebook. Yeah, you get Sagareeka, Bhatia, and then whatever we get.
Sure.
Yeah. You would want a presentation?
Yeah. Yeah, you're on.
Thank you.
So we teach exactly mindfulness and heartfulness that you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
You need to make happy parents. Yeah, absolutely. Happy and balanced.
Yes.
Hormones acting over time, everything becomes pretty balanced.
So two of you are a team.
No, I just
Oh, yeah.
Which country?
I was waiting to go to the school. Yeah.
Which one? Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Right.
You're based out of Delhi.
No, with the set syllabus, whatever is your set syllabus, let's say suppose you're teaching thermodynamics. Okay, in thermodynamics you want to test the laws. If the child knows what are the laws of, you are not deviating from what the curriculum the government is giving. You're not deviating at all. You are now framing your questions on this software. Okay, wherein the child is answering the questions. It's assessment. Assessment in a fun way. It's fun learning. Fun learning. You're not deviating from your curriculum at all. Not at all. Even we have our own. Even we have to finish that curriculum. But the same curriculum, we are delivering it in a different way. It's not just chalkboard. It's not just chalkboard. No, it is for everyone in the school because we have support system. We have support system. Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
So investment helps.
Or broader. It's for broader your school. Your school system will not any. The school system has to be geared to technology. You need Wi-Fi. No, you need Wi-Fi. Things like this. No. First thing is they need to get schools Wi-Fi. Schools have to be Wi-Fi oriented. Yes. So all these things, and where you have firewall which will block your other sites. So that the children, they're very important. So all these things you need to tell your girl because see the world is moving towards technology. You can't blind away from it. You can't.
You cannot put your head in the mud and pretend it doesn't exist.
Yes.
Because some of them are not prepared to change.
Exactly.
It involves money.
That's why I said free. That's the reason why I bring the ones which I could have brought you a lot of things which cost money. But people know about things that cost money. People don't know about things that don't cost money. That's why I thought this as a platform just to inform you all and hence I research and we are using couple because even I'm tied down by the management. They will not pay so much of cost to get these softwares. No, not at all. So, but I want to drive the school technology. My children understand better with technology. So how do I do it? So I use this. I use this.
Can I have a look?
I'll meet you maybe, my cards are all in my room. I didn't bring it down. So if I see you somewhere in between, I'll catch you. I'll catch you today's session and somewhere you to take down my email ID. Maybe you just email me and I'll send it to you.
So I'm working a lot with children. Okay. My youngest student is 6.
Okay.
And they're, of course, 13 onwards is fantastic.
Are you from Delhi?
Yeah, very much from Delhi.
Okay.
Seeing a lot of balance, so much so that the parents call me and tell me what have you done.
Okay.
So exactly what he was talking about, mindfulness, heartfulness, empathy, taking their own balanced decisions. And using their energies in a creative
that
way.
Is the thing, even in school, there's a lot of things we do.
Yeah.
We do. Technology is one part of it because today the topic was technology.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there are so many things we do in school, even above.
This is, it's amazing.
So, sure.
So, you can always look at our website and even the main website.
You all are from? From Delhi. Yeah, see. Your school is in Bombay. Yeah, my school is in Bombay. It's RBK International. I was working at Bombay International. At the Bombay International, you were working. Okay. Mine was in Bhatia. Okay, you're based in Sagareeka. Music teacher. Oh, okay. You just write to me and share the. I will. Thank you. Is this lady who just went away? She's teaching us school?
Can I? Who's this side?
I need this. Yeah, I did. My cards are. Are you here?
I'm here for some time.
Okay, so maybe during lunch, maybe I'll catch you and give you my. Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah, you can keep that with you, not a problem. Keep it. Because I'm from Bombay, I mean, yeah. Thank you.